Don't worry about your website. Don't worry about your business cards. Don't worry about any of the other shit. Just focus on, can you actually do something that makes revenue? You should have at least 15 grand, 5,000 a month for 3 months that you're willing to spend. And that shouldn't financially hurt you. Like, you'd be okay with willing to lose that if things don't go well. I want it to be a 2 to 4 unit in this area under this price point, and then hunt for what you're looking for, right? Don't just have a broad brush, be very precise in that. There's a difference between, the active income or you're buying and trading all these places versus what I consider legacy assets, who might not even be the best cash on cash or things are on paper, but they're things I want to own for 40 years. Appreciation usually beats cash flow in the long run, right? Cash flow is, in my opinion, more of a, especially when you're smaller, more of a defensive metric. It can pay for your CapEx, it can pay for your repairs, like that kind of stuff. And then you just get to let the debt pay down and appreciation do its work. Like, cash flow's like crazy. Like, the debt is stupid cheap. And I never sell these things. I don't think I will.
It's 1.5.
1.5 million for 12 units.
Okay.
But good, they're great parts of town. They're all 2-bedroom, 1 bath. All separate utilities, and we took rents. I forget the exact numbers, but the average recently $900 a unit at the time.
Yes, and what was the seller finance on it?
So they carried 1.4 million. I put 100 grand down.
Okay.
30-year AM, but a 10-year balloon at 3% interest.
Okay, 3%.
3%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the reason why they were willing to sell that is they were an older couple, right? They wanted the income from it. They didn't want to manage the properties. It was a perfect storm of things that show about that are very few and far between. I get that, but they're out there, and that's kind of the whole point of this. Is like, and so and the one thing that I did that made it, obviously we personally guaranteed it. That I did that. A lot of people would get, like, I've pitched you seller finance before, and a lot of people are apprehensive again to the rapport thing. Like, I had several meetings with these people before they felt confident to do it. If you pitch seller finance on the very first get go, they're like, I don't know you. I don't know who you are. Like, they're not going to go for that. Yes, they had a first position mortgage, but literally in our promissory note, in the last section, I put, if I am 45 days delinquent on this payment, you don't even have to foreclose on me. You can go down to the title office and deed the property back to yourself. There's nothing I can do about it. I was that confident in the deal in itself that, like, it gave them the confidence to move forward with it. And it's still the best buy I think I've ever done. The cash flow's like crazy. Like, the debt is stupid cheap. And, I never sell these things. I don't think I will anyway. So.
That's how I feel about the property we just rented a contract. And I'm like, I'm just going to hold on to this forever. It'll be in our family.
Yeah, no, this is good. Like, there's a difference between, the active income or you're buying and trading all these places versus what I consider legacy assets, who might not even be the best cash on cash or things are on paper, but they're things I want to own for 40 years because, let's be honest, like, appreciation usually beats cash flow in the long run, right? Cash flow is, in my opinion, more of a, especially when you're smaller, more of a defensive metric. It can pay for your CapEx. It can pay for your repairs, like that kind of stuff. And then you just get to let the debt pay down and appreciation do its work.
Yes. Yeah. So are you seeing any shifts in supply and demand for both multifamily and single family?
My buyers in the single family, fixed and flip space are definitely have a less appetite than they have in the past. And I think that's because of the whole uncertainty that is around right now. I think I just had a deal that I sent to, I got it sold, but I thought it was going to fly off the shelves, and I only had a couple people interested. Same thing with another one I just put under contract the past couple of days, and the appetite has just been less than I thought it was. And so, but on the flip side of that, you see things go in the market, and if they're priced right and they don't have a funny layout, or you can tell that the craftsmanship was at least decent, they're still flying off the shelves. It's this weird thing where you get the contract that you want, it sells for what you want within 72 hours, or it sits for 6 months. There's really no in between right now. So that's single family, mostly. Multifamily stuff, I don't know if I track it well enough to give you an informed opinion, because I really only go for my own stuff.
So when you're underwriting now for these flips, are you putting in holding costs to be a little higher, or what are you?
I mean, my go-to thing, and we can discuss this because I'm sure your underwriting is more. I don't do 5-year projections really on my stuff. I want it to cash flow day one, and then if it cash flows day one, then it'll cash flow 5 years from now. But I'll take basically gross rents take 15 to 20% of that number, subtract out my PITI plus expenses, so utilities, and all the phantom expenses, or the phantom expenses are included in that 15% is what I should say, but minus actual expenses of utilities. If it cash flows or has a positive cash on cash of 10%, I will look at that deal. But I'm not trying to squeeze in like, okay, it's a 3% cash on cash now, but if we have rent growth of 3% appreciation for the next 3 years, it's going to be that. I don't do that.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. That is your question.
Mostly about the holding costs, especially on the flip.
Oh,
are you going
good
to?
question.
Yes.
Yeah. I've not changed that a whole lot. Insurance has definitely gone up. Property taxes have definitely gone up. Utilities haven't gone up all that much, in my opinion. When you're holding stuff, but again, I'm out of these places in 3 to 4 months. Usually, that that delta between is not a huge number, but I don't even do the 75% or 77% repairs because that doesn't fit on every deal. Usually, I'll take what I think ARV is, usually kind of conservatively. Yes, I'm a little bit more conservative now than I would be. So like if there's 2 sales at 250, I'm not underwriting 240, whatever. Take like 92% of that number, subtract out that accounts for my realtor fees and closing costs. Back out my private or hard money loan, what those costs over a 6-month hold. Back out the rehab, and then back out whatever I want desired profit to be. And that desired profit is dependent upon the scope of work and how expensive the property is. If it's a quick cosmetic flip and I'm spending in total 150 grand, I'm okay with making 20 grand on that. But if it's a $500,000 place and we're spending 100 grand, I want that probably to be like 50 grand to be worth the time and effort, right? So it's very deal dependent. So to answer your question, not really, but that's kind of the math that I use to go behind it.
Yeah. Okay. If you were starting from scratch today, what would your strategy be?
Specifically for what I do transactionally or the buy and hold stuff?
I would say this is mostly for someone who is like on the sidelines wanting to get into real estate. So let's say they have some kind of income, but they just want to get into real estate, get started.
Stuff. It is tougher now than when I got started. I would say the best deals are found off market, and so maybe develop a skill set around that. So I'm in another group now. It's called the Scale Group. We do a weekly podcast or bi-weekly podcast, or 2 podcasts once a week. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Yes. Anyway, and we help people start their off market operations. Our go-to saying is you should have at least 15 grand, 5,000 a month for 3 months that you're willing to spend. And that shouldn't financially hurt you. Like you'd be okay with willing to lose that if things don't go well.
So 15 grand.
15 grand, which is just accounts for basically 5 grand a month in ad spend. And, don't worry about, and my biggest gripe with a lot of these, especially content creators, don't worry about your website. Don't worry about your business cards. Don't worry about any of the other shit. Just focus on, can you actually do something that makes revenue? Can you do something that makes money? And so, long answer short is, if they want to buy and hold, get really crystal clear. I want it to be a 2 to 4 unit in this area under this price point, and then hunt for what you're looking for, right? Don't just have a broad brush. Be very precise in that. Whether if you want to flip, you want to flip in this neighborhood that's this square feet, that's this many bedrooms, and you can go online and you can find these through public records, and then market to that specific asset. Hunt for what you want, and then be willing to answer the phone when the phone rings.
Yeah. Okay. And how do you determine if a neighborhood is a good place to invest? What are the factors? Yeah, no, I actually just kind of went down this a little bit. Path of progress, everyone wants, right? And it's always clear. Hindsight's always 20/20. Specifically in Hamilton County, and I think you can do this other places too. I mean, you can find how many permits were pulled. You can find how many permits were pulled per capita. So you can kind of go online and see the data of the new construction, of renovations and things. And then, my answer to this is statistics and data. Get access to things that
even if you have to hire someone to do it, like, okay, the past 3 years, this zip code has had the most price appreciation, right? Like this area, this part of town had the most permits pulled for new construction. This one had the most tax abatements. So, and like, or this zip code had the most people move into it.
So how do you do this thing? Like,
yeah, I can show you. Basically, if you just type in like citydata.gov is another one, or you can go specifically on, I forget the portal, but Cincinnati, you can find this in the Cincinnati numbers.
Wow.
So.
Okay. I can't wait to like discover this.
Yeah. And it's something that you have to be able to run numbers like in formulas in Excel and stuff. But like, yeah, it can be done.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Then what are some red flags that tell you to avoid investing in certain areas?
Crime. And you can just do this by, I think Truly has a good like crime thing. On it, like, and when the first time we bought one of the places, I forget where I heard this from, but we called the local police department and we said, hey, we're about to buy this place. Like, can you tell us anything about like the area? And they're usually an open book. Like they'll tell you, yeah. So like, just boots on the ground, stuff like that. And if you just drive by it, you notice dilapidated buildings. You know stuff like that. I don't know if there's a 50,000 foot view you can take to that, but it's a vibe. Like you'll know. I don't.
Yeah. Are there any unexpected factors that have that made a neighborhood either explode in value or decline over time?
Jobs is probably the biggest one. I think the city of Hamilton around here is probably a great example. Is they used to have IP, International Paper, or Champion Mill was the big one, and that when that left, it kind of ruined the city for a long time. To be honest, didn't have a good reputation, lots of drug use. But recently, I would say the past 5 to 10 years, they've had the new smoking complex. There's been a lot of Fortune 5 companies and private companies that have come into there. And so really job and population growth are probably the two biggest things. Yes, like if you see your local Starbucks come in, you're like, okay, what does Starbucks know that I don't know, right? Like, so like you see that kind of stuff that comes in. Areas like if you're around Cincinnati, like Northside, it's probably another one right now that people are like, you don't know if you're going to have a place that's like, there's comps in the 400 to 500s, but you also feel like you get stabbed if you go around the wrong corner. Like, so like, I don't know. It's just stuff like that. I can only speak for local jurisdictions. East of 71 obviously is very popular amongst most people. Madisonville is another, it's still hot. MedPace was like the big Fortune 500 that came in. So this stuff like that, I guess, is employers is probably the bigger one.
Have you ever been surprised by a neighborhood either outperforming your expectations or completely flopping?
Ooh. I mean, really, the property, the 6 unit that we just bought in Gulf Manor, I was surprised to the downside on what I could get as far as rents. I wouldn't necessarily say that's a neighborhood problem. I think it was our timing problem. We tried to lease these in October, November, December. These past year, just no one was moving. And so I would say no, because honestly, like we would probably underwrite a little too conservatively, where if we're ever surprised, it's to the upside, which is great if you're an investor. The flip side of that is you don't want to underwrite yourself out of deals. And I feel like we've done that a lot the past couple of years. And like, yes, hindsight's 2020. I wish I would have done a lot more the past couple of years. But I think just do the basic due diligence. Go on Rentometer, go on Zillow, and look what is active for rent and what's not. And I think if you're even within that median price, you're probably going to be okay. And deliver a somewhat better product. Don't be a slumlord that paints over light switches, and you're going to be fine.
So, what's your number one secret to networking like a pro?
Talk to people like you. I don't know. Like I said, I went to a lot of the meetups. I don't be afraid to shake hands, and I'm not a naturally like extroverted person. And don't just be the value seeker. Like, don't start a conversation and realize, oh, this person's brand new, they're not going to be able to help me any, and then move on to the next one. Right? Try to actually help a lot of those people. And I don't know. I can't overstate how important relationships have been to me. That's how I have my CPA. That's how I have my property manager. That's how I have a lot of my GC contacts. That's how I have a lot of my, like literally my whole entire network of what I use in real estate is because of networking. Even on the financial side, I have private money that I never thought I would have because of some of the relationships that we've built. And I guess don't be afraid to tell strangers what you do, right? Either. So, my answer thing, most things, go in with some kind of intention, not to just say that you went there and that was your accomplishment for the evening.
Mm-hmm. And it's also, there is nothing for you to lose. It's like you can't find everything that you want if you're not in those rooms. Like you have to, like your downside is too bad if you just don't go to these events.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. Like, how would you know who to talk to when it's tax time? And how do you know, like, who to contact when you have a house under contract? Like, how do you find your hard money lenders, private money lenders?
Yep. Yeah, no, like you're usually one connection away from someone in the area, right? And I don't know. I was listening to the Better Life podcast with Brandon Turner on the way here, actually. They interviewed Sahil Bloom, who had the 5 types of wealth. And I haven't read the book, but here's a plug for that podcast. It was really, really good. And it's funny that this is a question because they said, even from a health perspective, that the people who lived the longest and it wasn't what they ate, wasn't their exercise routine. It was how deeply their connections were. And not even like on a professional level, but like a friend level too. He shared the story of
I think this is the longest study that ever existed.
Yeah, it was. It was like 1,300 original people, and they also found like 700 of their descendants too. And he shared the story of how he was in Paris for a speaking event, or Venice, or I don't know, but he passed these 4 old guys who were probably in their 80s fishing, ripping heaters, so cigarettes, but they're 85 years old, but they're laughing the whole time. It's like, these people are going to outlive people who are doing the carnivore diets, ice baths, the cold plunges, just because of that. So like, I don't know. There's nothing to lose and there's everything to gain from this.
How do you go from just starting out to knowing the right people?
You'll probably, you'll know the wrong people because something will happen. And I think that's just part of business. Mm-hmm. I think there's no such thing as an entrepreneur or business owner who doesn't get a few kicks and scratches and bruises along the way. Mm-hmm. And you have to touch the stove every once in a while. I've trusted the wrong people, even referrals, like they were great for that person, but something else happened to him and like, contractor runs away with the money or, stuff like that. So, I hate to beat a dead horse, but if you network with the right people, you have a better chance of finding the people who will help and not the people who will hurt. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it's probably inevitable. If you do this for a long time, you're probably going to run into something that's going to screw you over, and just don't hold a grudge against it. Yeah. Put it behind you and move on.
Yeah. What's the best networking hack for introverts who struggle to put themselves out there?
Suck it up. No, you could create your own event too. Like let's say you feel more comfortable in a coffee shop or something. Like put on something where you feel an environment where you feel comfortable and go from there, right? And just kind of create the environment that you want.
Is it better to network online or in person when it comes to
in person? I don't have the doubt about that, especially if you are operating locally in your own jurisdiction. Like, online's great, and I have a couple connections from that, but I don't think nothing be doing the face-to-face interviews, shaking hands with somebody. Like,
and maybe you can meet them for the first time on social media, but then make it a point where you can go meet them in person.
Totally. Yeah. Okay.
Go to opening line when meeting a investor or a deal maker.
Oh, man. Were these on the prompts? Go to line when meeting a deal maker and an investor. I don't know. Maybe ask them about their most recent deal or experience, just to kind of gauge if you guys are in similar paths in your entrepreneurial investing journey. Mm-hmm. And you can get a gauge, okay, well, this guy's new. I can help in introducing these people. Or this guy's experience. He owns hundreds of doors. Let's talk about how he found those deals. I'm sure he'd love to talk about it. And I don't know, kind of, figure out where that person is and then direct the conversation from there.
Yeah. Got it. So ask it, make it about themselves. Let them talk first.
Yeah, open-ended questions.
Yes.
What's the last deal you did? What do you got working on right now? Stuff like that.
So maintaining long-term relationships. How do you maintain strong, lasting connections?
Yeah, I mean, don't be transactional in nature on a lot of stuff that you do. I get lunch and coffees with all of my buyers a lot of the time because it's not just, don't be the person that shows up only when you need somebody, I guess is the answer to that question. And they'll be able to sniff that out. I'm sure people can do that for you or I too, right? They'll listen to a podcast and be like, I want to do what that guy's doing. And all they do is try to suck value. So even if you have to put it in a CRM, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Hey, reach out to, so-and-so once a quarter.
It's just a reminder.
It's just a reminder. Right.
So you're on top of things.
Right. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I guess some people would view that as less genuine, but I don't think so. I just think it's living by intention. And
that's exactly how I see it too, because if I don't have it on my Excel sheet or if I don't have it.
Yeah. The busyness of life is going to keep you away from doing those important things. So.
Yeah. So what's your strategy for staying top of mind with key contacts?
This is probably most important with if you're trying to buy bigger deals with brokers too. Unfortunately, in my opinion, brokers want to know that you bought something else or you own something else already before that you're on their list. However, if you just, I don't know, I call them connectors, like other wholesalers, they've a lot of times go into these meetups too. They'll do their own marketing. They'll get a deal, but they don't know who to sell it to. And they'll come out to me. And, because I've been doing this a while, we'll go to JV on the deal and we all win. Right. So to say something of mine, it's kind of doing what we just said. Keep, reach out to them periodically, see how they're doing. And not just professionally, if they have kids, they do all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to buy this place on the west side of town. And I'm currently rehabbing a place that's very close to his. And so periodically I would say, I'll give him picture updates of the place that we're rehabbing and just say, hey, look at what we're doing to this place on the street. Just so when the time's ever right, he's going to sell, I'm hoping, I'm at the top of his prefrontal cortex that says, hey, he just rehabbed that one down the street. It looks nice. He did a good job. And this at least get the opportunity for something like that.
Yeah. So, okay. And then I was only doing something like that on social media. So even personally texting something. Yeah,
I'm actually very bad at social media, sharing a lot of stuff. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I should probably be doing it more. But yeah, personally. So, even to a micro level, I think that's important.